Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. It is Thursday, and if you're following along, I just threw in the towel on the van because it is something out of my control, so I'm done with that. So obviously it's not going to make it to Cars and Coffee this Sunday. Today is Thursday, so I need something to haul stuff to Cars and Coffee. So out comes the old Super Truck. Super Truck came out of storage about 3 weeks ago, and it came out with its own set of issues. Put it away with almost no issues, and it came out with issues. Main problem, air ride. I know what's going on. I don't know why it's going on. Stuff's just failing. It's 10 years old. Tell you what we're going to do today. Right front has a slow leak over 2 days. Completely airs out to the ground. It's been doing that all last summer, so that's a known issue. We're going to track that down. Main problem is compressors. So I have two compressors, left side, right side. They both run off of, imagine this, a computer. Computer, I believe, if I remember correctly, is behind that headlight. The air ride solenoids are behind this headlight. Basically, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this compressor won't shut off. Stays running regardless. So I cut the wire to it to shut it off because I didn't know what else to do for now. So obviously the relay that is inside the computer, I'm assuming the relay is burned up and stuck and always powering that one. So I cut that wire, figured I'd just run off the other compressor. That compressor is running, but it's not doing anything. It's not making any air. So this compressor runs but won't shut off. That compressor runs but won't make any air. So we're going to blow it apart. They don't make anything to service this air ride. Basically, I need to replace the entire system for like $1,800. And I tell you right now that that's not going to happen. I wouldn't put air back in this truck if I was building it again. Honestly, I think it rides like crap. But it's in there. If this completely fails, I'm just going to put a coilover system in it, put it back to static ride height, and just cruise it. So regardless, that's a whole nother story. But I need to get this thing usable one way or another. So let's see here. It's been like 10 years since I even looked at this thing, so let's see if I can figure out what we did 10 years ago. Lots of wiring. Got it. Alright, got a bunch of screws. I don't know what they do. Well, maybe that was it. It's a little warm right there. Ew. That ain't good. Okay, so we know what the problem is with the controller. Quick glance, I looked at the hose for that compressor going back to the tank to see if it's pinched. I don't see anywhere, so I really think that compressor is just junk. So while I figure out what I'm going to do, because I don't know yet, I'm going to try to track down this air leak on this right front wheel. Now I believe last time I had the tires off this thing, I leak checked the bag and the hose on that end. So we're just going to soak everything down and see if we can find some bubbles. Well, I don't see any leak at the solenoid pack, so I'm going to pull this right front wheel as soon as I get my key for the wheel and go directly to the airbag and check those fittings. So we're getting down there. I don't know if we'll get the summer out of it or not, but depends how many cars we go pick up with the old girl. Alright, so we're down here in the airbag, and it's got about 110 psi in it right now, so let's just check this fitting. I thought I checked this last year, and I just didn't see anything. My beer cans are definitely getting worn out, though. They've been in there for 10 years. Still holding up pretty good. Okay, looks like we got a very light leak right there. Yep, there's the problem. Okay, so we need a 90-degree fitting for that bag, and that should take care of that issue. This isn't the first one I had to replace. It's just they fail. I mean, like I said, this build is 10 years old this year. I think it's 10 years old this year. So, time for some updates. So, what's next? I don't know. Let me think about it. I'm gonna run in town and get a new one of those. As far as the controller, now obviously you're seeing that the board is burned up on that circuit, but this circuit still works. So, but that compressor doesn't work. Anyways, I think what we're gonna do, let me show you this. So it looks like we got, like I said, this is 10 years, so it's been, I'm trying to refresh my memory. These are power for each compressor, one for each compressor directly off the battery. And this is RideTech's wiring. This is how they want it wired. So one of these goes to each compressor, and then the compressor has a ground on each compressor that comes back to the controller. So the controller is basically closing and opening the ground circuit to turn on the compressor, and that's what's burned up inside here. So what I think I'm going to do is take two relays. I'm going to take that last signal for that compressor that still works. So when it calls for that compressor to turn on, instead of turning on that compressor, it's going to close these two relays. These relays will close the high power, the current basically, the high amperage circuit to run this compressor for now, the one that still works. That way there's no load going through that second circuit, and maybe this thing will last another 10 years. But I don't know. I'm just kind of shooting for the weekend right now. I need this to run and drive for the weekend. So I'm running town, get the other fitting, and I'm going to come back, chop some wiring up, reconfigure it my way, and see how we do. So, right back. All right, so we're back, and we have one new fitting. Take care of this little leaky. So we get this put in. Should be pretty straightforward. Okay. So now we're going to air it up. I'll bubble check that. Make sure our problem there is solved. Air up the right front. Everything looks good, except for the beer cans. So I think this leak is fixed. I mean, that was a slow leak. It took like probably 3 days for that to go down. But this truck sits for weeks at a time. So my theory is, if this doesn't leak down, that's just less air I got to use to put the truck up when I need it. Take some abuse off of these compressors until I come up with a permanent fix for it. Right now, we're just fixing it temporarily, but you know how that goes. It'll still be here next year, I guarantee it. So, let's move on to the wiring. So we got a blue and a gray wire, okay? This is the ground for each compressor. This is the driver's compressor, this is the passenger compressor. So I got one good relay left, which is the driver's side, blue one. This one still works. So what I want to do is, instead of when this calls for compressor to come on, it's pulling the 20 amp circuit through that relay inside of the brain box, which is what burned up the other one. It just, over time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that signal, and instead of it telling that compressor to turn on through that relay, it is now just going to power these other relays here. It's just going to turn these relays on. So what we need to do, we know the blue wire, and it looks like here's a nice junction point, so let's reuse that, because these are running off of a 20 amp fuse, and like I said, it's switching the negative. The positive goes from the battery straight to the compressor, so we're just switching the negative. So we need to know which side this comes out of the computer and which side goes. Okay, so that's the computer. So basically when the compressor turns on, it's going to send a ground signal out this wire, right? Coming out of the brain box, compressor wiring. Compressor calls. So I've already got the terminal on there. That was a waste. This will close the negative side of the coil. But now we need switched ignition power. That was just sitting on there. To the other side of the coil. So basically when the key's on, this will be power. When that calls for air, it'll close this negative, energize the coil, close the contact. We'll get there. All right. I'm not really explaining it to you as much as I am making it work in my head. So this here yellow wire is switch key power. So should just be able to tap into this right here. And you're gonna go to here. And these are all heat shrink butt connectors. When we're done, we'll go through and shrink them up and make sure everybody's weather tight. Even though this thing, same deal as a van. If I get caught in the rain, it is what it is. But if it's gonna rain, I don't drive the truck. She's a garage queen, right? All right, so that's our control circuit. That calls for air, energize coil, it's gonna close contacts. So now we need the ground. So there's two ground wires going to the battery from the system, which should be these guys right here. But I need these grounds to stay here, and they're fused. This is weird. It's got inline fuses on the ground and inline fuses on the power from the battery to the compressor, so it's double protected. But I need this to stay grounded. If I unhook those grounds from the battery, the display kind of does stupid things. So if I cut both of these, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chassis ground these, because now they're not doing any, there's no major draw through these anymore. I'm bypassing the draw. So if I terminate these and ground them to the chassis, that should put ground to the box. So let's do that a little later. So now these are going to be our grounds for, these are going to go on the number 30 terminal of each relay, because this is going to be the source, right? Usually you put power to these, but they are switching the ground. So we got to think backwards. On 87, so it only closes when coil is powered. Okay, so now we just need to ground these back to the controller so it doesn't blink like it was doing. Everything would drop like 6 psi and then ramp up, and then drop 6 psi, ramp up. So the display just kept dropping and repeating itself when the ground was unhooked. So we're gonna hook the ground up. Okay, so last thing, we need to fix this wire where I cut it, because now this should be back in line and operational if I did it correctly, which we're gonna find out here real quick. Okay, so key on, everything's plugged in here. This is junk, that's junk. I think everything's plugged in. Let's give it a test run. I'll have to start the truck because it takes a lot of power idling. Let's see if they turn on. All right, so tank pressure, it was at 134, so we're at 138. So basically if this goes up to 150 and shuts off, then we have done it correctly. So I'll let you know in about 10 psi. All right, 150 on the nose, both compressors shut off. Now, like I said, this compressor's not doing anything on the driver's side, so I think I'm just gonna cut the wire to that one regardless for now. Actually, I'm gonna unhook it down. No, I'm not. I don't wanna unhook it down here because I'm gonna take the headlight out. So that part's done. Everything should be good enough until that thing finally shits the bed altogether. And then I'll deal with it then. Hopefully it's a couple years yet. So now we got one last thing besides an oil change. Ain't gonna bore you with that. Back door. So this door was acting up last year. It doesn't open. So you're supposed to be able to touch the glass back here. I can hear the sensor. So I can hear the relay clicking inside, but it's not powering the door popper. Let me show you how it's supposed to work. So passenger side, touch the glass, door popper, all right? And then this is the door pusher opener. Oh, in case you noticed, there's no door handles on Super Truck. There's also no tailgate handle, and there's no tailgate body lines. If you're familiar with 13 F-150s, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not, you probably don't care. Anyways, so we're gonna pull this door panel off and track down the wiring and see if we can figure out what's going on with that motor. And the reason I want to fix it is so I can quit doing this to let the dog out every time. All right, that's pretty easy because I do it every spring. So back in the door is a electric motor, pulls down on the outside door handle only if the door is unlocked. So when the truck locks, none of this works. So you can't, don't think because I showed you how to open my door that you can break into my truck, because you still can't. There's just no door handle. You can click the button, it makes no doors won't open. So what is going on is what I don't know. We got ground, it's clean. I mean, everything feels good into the motor. You can move the motor manually. Okay. So with that probe and that wire, see what I can do. Yeah, I did cut myself, bastard. Okay, we got power going down there. Let's double check our ground. And again, like I said, this build's 10 years old, so it's that time when everything starts failing. Oh, it's a little corroded. But it is not working. Let's hot wire it. More power. Put some power to a... Wow! That works. Why does it work there and not work there, huh? This ain't the first. Works good. So do I not have the amperage coming down from the relay? Put this back together again. And it works. He wants to explain to me what I did different, besides cutting that connection off and putting a new one on there, and putting some main power to it. Okay, I'm gonna put it back together. I don't know. See how long it lasts this time. I don't get what I did different. Hey guys, new day in the shop here. Friday, a couple days left for Cars and Coffee, and we are wrapping up Super Truck. So last night I put this door back together. Hey, look at that. Works every time, like I said. I don't know how many times I fixed it, and it just does it again. So we'll see how it does. Got the front headlights and everything put back in, wiring all tied up. The air ride seems to be working perfect, so big plus there. We got the leak fixed on the right front wheel. We got one last thing to tackle, and I already tackled it, but let me show you. So last year I was getting intermittent battery light, but the battery was charging 14.7 volts or 14.3 or whatever. It'd come on, it'd go off, and 3 weeks later it'd come on and it'd go off, and you know, didn't know what it was. And that's kind of annoying when you're 4 hours from home with a trailer on the back, right? So doing some research and found some information leading back to the old Fuse 27 issue on this era F-150. So Fuse 27 is this 20 amp right here. This is for the fuel pump. And what it does is it can't handle the load going through it basically, and it melts the casing. And for some reason, people say that also intermittently brings on your battery light. So I'm like, I should check that, right? Truck runs fine, 118,000 miles, never had an issue with it running. There's fuse 27. That's what was left of it when I pulled it out. I don't know how this truck ran, because that's for the fuel pump. So though it did melt the case just a little bit, I was able to go in there with a pick and just get the chunks of plastic out of it. And I was talking to somebody else, I think it was Jamie actually, and he said he just goes through and bends the connections so they're tighter, and he's never had an issue. So we're going to experiment with that. They do make a fuse relocation kit that you can pull the fuse panel apart, go in there, pull those wires, and move them to a new location. But that's just starting the problem over as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to run it like this. I keep spare fuses in the truck, and I know what it is. So if it goes out, I can fix it on the road. It's not a big deal. So anyways, that's about it for Super Truck. I'm going to change the oil, get it washed, get it cleaned, get it put back in the shop, and then I need to get on to the daughter's 84 Mustang, because we need to get that thing running. And that thing has its own set of issues. So anyways, I'll get this done, and we'll move on to that one. Alrighty then, last project of the day. We got Super Truck all cleaned up, armor all polished, cleaned, windows cleaned, all that good stuff, and it is ready for Cars and Coffee. It is over in the garage, ready to go. We need to get Cameron's 84 going. So I pushed that thing outside like 2 weekends ago, I think it was. We cleaned the garage, and it hasn't been running yet this year. So I went out and fired it up, and it was sitting there idling. And you know, I'm just sitting there looking at the motor like car guys do, and I reached underneath that air cleaner and cracked that throttle, just like any car guy would do, and the distributor went up in a ball of flames. Just scared the crap out of me, because I had no idea why it did it. So after further investigation, we found this. So this is the accelerator pump on the primary bowl of the Holly carburetor, right? So when you crack the throttle, it pushes this little lever down, and it ejects a little bit of fuel right down the throat of the carburetor, right? So it's an accelerator pump. This screw right here stripped out over the winter while it was in storage, because this carburetor hasn't been apart in probably 3 years. So why this happened, I don't know. But basically, when I cracked that throttle and it went to squirt that fuel down the carburetor, it shot fuel right out of that gasket. The distributor's right here. Shot it right on the distributor, and up it went. Luckily, it just flashed. It didn't actually ignite nothing. Luckily, she wasn't driving it. That would have been a whole different story. So, like I said, it was stripped out. It won't grab, so I found a new bowl on eBay. I believe it's the correct one. So I'm going to switch the parts off of this one onto this one. The car is over in the garage, so we'll have to go over there and put it together, because I took it apart over there, and obviously there's no bowl on the carburetor, so it's not going to run very well. But anyways, I'm going to get this done, and we'll go over there and get it put together and fire it up, see how it does. Hopefully it doesn't light on fire. Alright, that's it for Friday night. Time for a burger and a beer at the bowling alley. So we'll throw that thing outside in the morning, get it fired up, see if it leaks anywhere, and go from there. Look at the shop, huh? Look at all this room for activities. Oh yeah, I got activities. I got all kinds of activities. Anyways, see you in the morning. Well, good morning everyone. It is Sunday, Cars and Coffee Day, and we are heading in. I got a truckload of stuff. The back's full, the Bronco's full. I think the donuts are in the back of the daughter's 84 Mustang along with the coffee maker. It's taking basically 4 vehicles to replace the van today. And the dog's not happy. She don't like the front seat. She likes being in the back seat. But anyways, we're heading in. It's just 8 o'clock right now, 8:02. Show starts at 9, so we gotta go in and get set up. I'm hoping we have power. I forgot to check power yesterday to make sure the pole was turned on. So I need to get down there, check power, make sure we're good for the coffee makers. If not, I'm gonna have to make an emergency phone call. So anyways, we'll catch up in a little bit. Well guys, that's a wrap on the first Cars and Coffee 2025. It was a good turnout, lots of cars, lots of people. A lot of people wanted to come see the van, which obviously didn't make it, but we'll get that thing ironed out. But other than that, it was a good day. Super truck ran good, air ride's working good. Cam's car ran good, didn't light on fire, so that was a bonus day there, right? But anyways, that's it. I am done for the day. Go home and find something non-productive to do. So we will catch you on the next one, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.